Merry Christmas to you all, and welcome back to Ability of Fitness. I hope everyone had a great Christmas. Spend time with your family or friends or people you care about, obviously, and had a great time. I left rather early. I couldn't really stay for too long. I just got really tired. And yeah, so I wanted to give like a reasons or the reasons why I really do like to read history books. Um, a lot of people like I'm getting on that shit too. Like obviously, like in terms of like people with like affirmation books and stuff like that or novels. I used to read the novels, but there's not a lot of history that's being read, and I feel like you're missing out on great insight to what gets us to like tick. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm starting to understand why Machiavelli started to think the way he did. You know what I'm saying? For all the banner talking and shit, you really do like it's like looking at like beyond the pale. You know what I'm saying? Like you're going beyond the pale of morality, and you're looking at like humans for what we really are. Like humans, not restricted by the fallacies of civilization and morals and stuff, like, which I'm not saying that it doesn't have a sense. Obviously it's the reason that we're able to correspond with one another without being fearful of someone stabbing the shit out of us. For the most part, obviously there's still crime, but we live much safer and we're very cordial with one another, and it's definitely led to us being the dominant species on this planet is our teamwork, because we're not the fastest and we're definitely not the strongest. So we needed to help each other, and these sort of constructs, which is what they are, of course, were needed to be created in order to make a solid alliance, like in a way, and that sort of thing just spread all over the world. Because obviously, like I feel like that's basic, not basic, very complex, and you need to have, you know, voice, like having being able to speak to the level that we're able to speak obviously helps. But I digress completely. I'm so sorry. Um, yeah, man. Reading about conquerors also is kind of a humbling thing as well. Like chasing inspiration in a way, because we will never be an Augustus. Like I'll never be an Augustus. I'll never be um, fucking Diocletian or an Alexander or Julius Caesar. And, we just don't have that amount of access to power and influence as we did before. And for one man and war, people will have to die, and that's just not where we at right now, apparently. So, well, of course we are. When you read about those men and then you read about the measures that they took, it's all very similar. It's all the same thing, So I'm more like it's a dichotomy. It's a severance in message and action that is blatantly obvious. Yet people don't want to address it, which is like displayed to you when you read. When you're in the subject matter of what I read, like I don't only read military history. I read about events and stuff like conquerors, and I read about Friedrich and a whole bunch of crazy people, um, utterly pragmatic individuals, um, and it just shows like Machiavelli was correct, and I feel like it's something that it's really a struggle, and I feel like for justifiable reasons it's ignored. Is that and I've probably said this like a bunch of times. We preach about we have to be good with one another and cool with one another, and we have to love one another and help one another, not be selfish and not be greedy and um and all that shit, right? Not be conflicted. Um, but if you really want to get to the top, you're gonna have to partake in actions that are the complete opposite of what you're supposed to be doing. People who have been, state builders, like Augustus, like Diocletian, like Alexander, like Julius Caesar, like, you know, people who really changed world historical events, like individuals, like a Napoleon. They don't concern themselves with such things. Like they might say it, like they say it, so like it's obvious. Like if you look at it, like they constantly preach, God, oh, this is for the good of this, and there's always has to be a causes belly, you know, just cause thrown in to justify your. It's an act of aggression. You're just trying to find an excuse to go to war to conquer people. But you have to make it cool to the peasantry. Like you have to get the peasantry behind you because you don't want to develop a fifth column. You don't have a fifth column not in your back door, or well, not really. You don't have. You don't want. Yeah. You don't want. You don't want a native population to be against you. So you want the poor to think that yeah, there's a good reason that we're going out to try to kill other people now. But that's what it is. It's an excuse. So the people who get to the top, they don't really concern themselves with these things. It's like, and that's what I really do think. I feel like we really, like, they made all this shit up, which is why I don't like Christianity. I'm glad that it's diminishing in its influence. Like, we're paying the price with our stupidity and ignorance and identity politics because, you know, leaving behind a thing that's been embedded for 2,000 years is not going to be easy, and with the level of talent that we have in our government, it's just frankly not going to be possible. But you know, trying to find, well, that's even more complicated than that. You know, people like Fyodor Dostoevsky and Nietzsche trying to understand or trying to figure out how we're gonna get, like, now that Christian morality is falling apart in Western civilization, what is going to be created? How are you going to pick up the pieces and find something to direct humanity? Because now we're all lost and there's this sense of nihilism, and then we have all this materialism bullshit. Like, you know, that's a whole nother conversation in and itself, which is existentialism. Well, they're existentialists, but that's not what I'm talking about. So yeah. And that's what they talk about. You know, I read The Brothers Karamazov from Fyodor Dostoevsky, and it's a mindfuck. And it's that sort of conversation. It's like, you know, it's Russia during that time period of trying to escape the influence of the Eastern Orthodox Church and the Third Rome, as it were, which is Moscow. Moscow is St. Petersburg. I think it's Moscow, right? Yeah, it's Moscow. Yeah, which is, I'm sorry, going on a tangent, but yes, I don't like Christianity because it's really a slave religion, and it beats morals, beats all this useless like shit. It's things to make us more docile. It's like, okay, let the peasants deal with all this bullshit while we go do our thing. Like, that's what I think it is. Like, and that fucking idea keeps popping in my fucking head, and I'm trying to figure out how. Well, like, I don't know. I keep going down the rabbit hole with that. I haven't really figured out an answer. It's just an idea that just keeps popping in my head. It's like, we're preaching and for what? You know, like, of course we can have influence, but I'm just saying that people who run the world, for all the bullshit that we talk, for the people that run the world, the people that dictate how you and I and the rest of our and everyone you know how they live, that's what I'm talking about. You know. And people say evil, good, evil, but at the end of the day, it conquers, and the victors write the history books. So, like, what do we, like, it's a serious question. Like, what happens? Like I've taken a bite out of the fucking goddamn apple. And now I'm really understanding why Machiavelli and Nietzsche and all these motherfuckers start thinking the way they did. And of course, I'm heavily influenced by them, which is probably why I'm thinking this way. But I don't know. I've always found it interesting looking at the ruthlessness as well of humanity. It's quite interesting that we've gotten proficient at killing one another. Well, we could talk about that forever as well. Holy shit. Yeah. Talk about that forever. You know, the severance of the man and the murdering, which is why we invented guns, which is why we invented, bombs and shit. Separate the individual from the catastrophe, so you don't have PTSD, so you don't have people deserting and shit like that. Which is what happened with the Nazis. That's why they started inventing the gas trucks, and then they started doing the bathtub, the bathrooms, and the locker rooms, and the camps, and, trying to get people, because, you had these fucking dickheads, justifiably so, started being tormented in their dreams. They started killing themselves and drinking like a motherfucker. So war is an interesting thing, man. It's quite interesting, and you really do learn from the best. Like the conquerors, like the motherfuckers that figured it out, had a whole lot of power, but a whole lot of risk and responsibility. They dictated world events. So, yeah, there's always something to draw from them and be inspired and humbled at the same time. Like, yes, I think about what I've been, ranting on for a little bit here, but it's fucking cool, man. Like, there's no TV show is ever gonna be what happens in real life. Like, we really are crazy as fuck. We're so crazy when you read about conflicts and shit. Like, what? We're greedy fuckers. It's just what we do. So we're gonna have a good time. I'm gonna read some Tacitus. It's really good. There's a level of bias in there, that's for sure. There's definitely a level of bias against women. The famous evil stepmother bullshit is found in this book quite quickly. Right in the beginning of his book, actually. So I'll leave you guys to it. Hope everyone had a Merry Christmas to everyone. Tomorrow I hit the gym again. Fuck, bro. I can't fucking wait, bro. I can't wait to go back, blast some death metal, and murder this shit, bro. We're gonna go. I don't know. I usually take a little bit of weight off, just to ease back into it. Like, I don't want to already push for true failure, like true progressive overload, like the first week, because I had a week off. Like, yo, relax. Like, let me do 1 rep in the tank, I guess. No, not really. It's not 1 rep in the tank, because I dropped the load a little bit, like a few pounds, just to make sure that I'm good to go. Assess my strength without really putting myself in a predicament, which I'm, So I feel like that's a smart way to approach it. And then obviously you adjust, and then if you go for it for next week, and it's all good. It all depends on how you feel, which is how I do it. So love y'all, man.